We're going to be talking about the exploration introduction today. But first we need to know the difference between two very key and important terms: exploration and colonization. Exploration is the act of searching and traveling around a place or terrain. You're not staying there a long time. You're using the raw materials that are at hand and easily accessible, and then you're moving on to easier things to find. In colonization, it is the act of settling new lands for a country, and typically with a purpose. You see, you want to stay there. You want to make a home there. You want to use those raw materials and then try to make more of those same raw materials. The beginnings of exploration. Several hundred years ago, there was a man named Marco Polo, and he found a land route to Asia. We call this the Silk Road, and it was used for trading, mostly spices, art, silk, and gold. And he really started the need and the expectation for countries wanting to expand and find out what is outside the walls of their territory. Then the Renaissance came along. And the Renaissance is actually, it means new beginnings. And science and technology and art grew exponentially. As far as exploring and colonizing, during the Renaissance, it really shaped and changed the way we thought about a lot of different things. There were new technologies. We changed the way we thought about ships, and we built them better and stronger and faster. For instruments, we changed the way that we used them for navigation. We did not rely on the stars anymore. We made compasses. And map making really changed the way we found out where things are, how big and how long and how much land is in a place. And there were new trainings as well. In Portugal, there was a man who set up a school of navigation, and Prince Henry's School of Navigation taught sailors how to use these different types of technologies to better their exploration and ending up in colonization. So who explored? There are actually many countries that explored. And really, everybody wanted to get to Asia. They were wanting to get to Asia because Asia is the place that had things different than Europe did. Some went through the Mediterranean Sea, and going through the Mediterranean Sea, you had to actually cross land. So you had to carry wagons and carts on your boats to cross the land once you got to the land. Some went around the tip of Africa, which took an excessively long time. Others thought to go west. They figured you'd get there eventually. And we're talking about four major countries that explored: Spain, France, England, and Holland. And we call these guys the big players. There are many reasons for exploration and many reasons for colonization. Some important reasons for exploring are spreading your religion, finding wealth, gaining fame, having national pride in knowing that your country has all of these sub-countries all around the world. Some people were just curious about what's out there. And we ultimately wanted a faster, cheaper trade route to Asia. And some reasons for colonization are: we want religious freedom. We're tired of the way things are, and we want to change. Same with political freedom. Others saw economic opportunities, and we call this mercantilism. We wanted social mobility. Sometimes in a country, you are set to be a servant for life. If you moved to a new country, things were open, and you could actually move up in the social class ladder. And by doing that, you create a better way of life. But ultimately, these reasons for exploring and these reasons for colonizing end up being the 3 G's: God, gold, and glory. Now, we talked about those big players: the French, the British, the Dutch, and the Spanish. And the results of them exploring and colonizing are as this. The French, they settled the Great Lakes areas and the Mississippi River. What they did was they trapped and traded furs with the Native Americans. The British were mainly farmers. They were also looking for religious and political freedom from the king that was trying to restrict them in England. The Dutch set up many businesses in New York, and they established it as New Amsterdam. But they set up businesses, shipping business, trading business, shipbuilding businesses. And they saw great economic opportunities in this new world. And the Spanish, they explored much of the southwest United States, much of Texas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, even up into Colorado and Wyoming. And they were looking for riches. Some people were looking for the 7 cities of gold, or the cities of Cibola. And that's what they were looking for. They also set up missions to spread their Catholic religion, the Catholicism there. And so some famous missions were the Alamo, and actually Santa Fe, New Mexico was a famous mission as well. Some more results from exploring and colonizing. There were physical geographic factors and human geographic factors. The physical geographic factors basically talks about the proximity to the Atlantic coastline. And the reason we talk about these physical geographic factors is because that Atlantic coastline is the closest to Europe. And so, of course, they're going to settle there first because that's the closest to them. And those are the physical geographic factors. The human geographic factors are when they get to that place, they have to do something with the people that are already there. So the removal of Native Americans through disease and conflict really determined where the colonies were established. And then we set up a plantation system. The plantation system was used on large amounts of fertile soil in the South for those cash crops. And we would bring in slaves as early as 1607. Slaves have been in the New World, in the colonies, for hundreds of years, much more than just at the Civil War. And then the transatlantic slave trade started as a labor source for those plantations in the South. They developed between the English colonies, England, and the West Indies. That's the exploration introduction. We'll see you around.